Hello and welcome to Main Music. Today we are going to be playing Away in a Manger from the Hymnplayer intermediate level, and we're going to be on page 14. Now this song goes, it repeats the song 3 times in each pattern, and each pattern has 2 repetitions of the song. So I guess it'd be a total of 6 times. So you have the first pattern here. You go back to the beginning and repeat it, skipping the first ending and going down here. This section is in the key of G, so all your F's are sharp, and G is your main chord. Then here you're going to be changing keys into the key of C, and take note right here of this treble clef. That means your bass clef or your left hand is going to be above middle C. And we'll go through this a little bit more, but this low note is middle C. So think high notes. So here we go through the next verse of the song up here, and then we go from measure 18 here back to measure 11. Repeat it again, skipping the first ending, going to the second ending. Starting at measure 22, we are going back into the key of G. All the F's are sharp, and that will be the case to the end. And again, we have the first ending, we repeat here, and then go to the end, and there's a little bit of an additional part here that's quite fun. So this is to the tune Flow Gently, Sweet Afton. This is not the traditional way Away in a Manger is played, but it is quite beautiful. Flow Gently, Sweet Afton refers to a stream or a river. So think flowing and quiet and peaceful. All right, let's play this, Away in a Manger. 1 and 2 and 3 and okay, so let's go over the beginning of this song. We're just going to take the right hand. You are going to beginning, your thumb is going to be here on D. For reference, this is middle C and D. And we're just going to be playing up here. So a lot of the finger patterns that I'm using are going to be to get your hand to move up. I'm just following the finger patterns that are already written in the music, nothing complicated. So if you have the music, this will be super simple. We're just going to go with what's already there. 1 and 2 and. Now here on Manger, you have the double G. The first time you play the G, it'll be with your middle finger. The second time, it'll be with your thumb. And then we're gonna go 2 to B, because we wanna hit that E with the pinky. All right, now you're just gonna let your thumb go to A. Down to G, down to E with your thumb. Now we have a little 16th note run. It begins on the offbeat of 2. So if you were playing the left hand with the right, there on measure 8 would be 1 and 2, E and E, E and E, and then back up to measure 2. So that's how you would play that little run. So let's go over that really quickly. Back to measure 8. Head on F sharp, you're going to have your middle finger, and then you're going to drop your thumb down to D. This is how I would do it. Thumb to D, second finger over to C sharp, back to D with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down to G. Again, we're going to play G twice, the first time with the middle finger, second time with the thumb. I'm on measure 9, second ending. All right, we're going to end with your thumb on G, and that's important for later. So that is the first 10 measures or so. Let's take a look at the left hand. You're going to be beginning with your pinky on low G. Again, this is middle C, and this G is 1, 2 G's below C. And we're going to do G, D, B, D, C, the goal here is to have flow. So if you are having a hard time reaching all those notes, you can just do this. You can just do G and D. All right, but remember, the right hand is the star of the show. The left hand is just there for effect and flow. So do not let the left hand interfere with the flow of the right. Beginning at measure 2, left hand only, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Same thing again on the next measure. A little different here on this measure. G sharp. And then we're going to move up to an A. A again with an F natural to C, back to an F natural. F sharp. That's a little tricky there on measure 5. And back to the beginning. You're way up here. We've got to get back down to the G's, so you're going to pick your hand up. Your right sustain pedal is going to come in quite handy with this song. In fact, why don't I use the sustain pedal a little bit here while I just play the left hand. We are in the second time through of the left hand, starting at the beginning. This time we're going to take the second ending. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So very slowly, let's put them together. We're going to go through measures 8 through 10. We are going to do the repeat. Try to play along if you can. We're going to take it nice and slow. 1 and 2 and. change on measure 11. Just the right hand, you're going to keep that G. That is going to be the first note of your new pattern. 1 and 2 and. So let's talk about that. Let's go back to the end of measure 10 and go through this. We're going to start with our thumb on G. And here, make sure your thumb gets to that second C so that you can put your second finger on the E. Don't forget your F's are natural. Now here's the trill, and this is measure 15. And on the bottom of page 14, you're gonna probably, if you want to do the trill, and you do not have to, you could just go little Lord Jesus and just leave it at that. If you want to do the trill, and again, this is just for effect, I usually try to do 2 notes in the trill. Really, a trill is this. It can be slow or it can be quick, depending on how fast you want to go. But it's good to have a trill that is even and measured instead of just flopping your hand around and trying to do as many as possible without having a plan. So this is my normal plan. This is my go-to way to do trills. Usually a trill goes with some left-handed notes, and usually I try to do 2 notes in the trill for every 8th note. And I know that isn't terribly fast, but in this song I don't want it to be very quick. So in the bass clef, I have 8th notes, and they would be 1 and 2 and. So there's 4 8th notes in the bass clef. So I'm going to try to play 8 notes here to the 4 notes here. 1 and 2 and, like that. And then on the measure, I believe it's 16, we're going to start a trill again. It's going to be E, D, 1 and 2 and. So that's how I would do them. Again, you do not have to do the trills, but if you're going to, make sure that you have a plan and that you are practicing it according to your plan so that it sounds neat and flowing. If you do what I do, which is you just try to play them, usually it ends up sounding very sloppy and messy. We don't want that. All right, let's go to the bass clef on measure 11, and your pinky finger is going to start on middle C. All right, let's watch these notes. Really, G here is every other note. So C, G, E, G, B, G, down to A, G, E, G, down to G, and then up to G. Measure 13. D flat, D natural, down to G, or I'm sorry, down to B, G, F, G, B, G, and then C, that classic pattern. And then you're gonna be on measure 17, page 15. Gonna drop all the way down here to F, and you are back in bass clef. All right, let's try it together. So we're gonna be on measure 10. 1 and 2 and. Back to measure 11 for the repeat. 22, just the right hand. All right, a little different than the last time. I would slow it down here. I'd slow the tempo down, take your time. Back to measure 22 for the repeat. Measure 30 for the second ending. Measure 31, we're going to do a little run. And then we're going to do a little run back down to the G. So at the very end, I would keep my pinky on that high G and just hold it while the left hand goes, or the right hand goes back and forth between D and B, because I don't want to play that G a second time. I'd like to end on the B, which is the third note of the chord that's being used, which is a very nice way to end. So let's go back to measure 22 and do the left hand. For the repeat. And I measure 33 now. Again, I would use a lot of pedal as the left hand is jumping around quite a bit. All right, let's start from measure 22. Let's see if we can do this together. Again, we're in the key of G. All the Fs are sharped. Let's take it real slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and first ending, back to measure 22. Second ending, measure 30. I hope that was helpful. Best of luck. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or if anything wasn't clear. Happy playing. See you later.